When a 94-year-old woman told me she walks up 2 flights of stairs every morning, alone, I thought she was exaggerating, until she sent me the letter I'm about to read to you. In today's video, I'm going to read you that letter. It's not a miracle story. It's a quiet, powerful account of 5 simple morning habits that turned an aging body, tired, fragile and fearful, into a life that's full of movement, balance and clarity. We'll walk through each habit she shared with me, what she does, why it works, and how you can start tomorrow morning without relying on expensive supplements or gym memberships. If you stay with me until the end, you'll understand how these habits protect her strength, memory, and independence, and how even one of them can make your next decade healthier than your last. I'm Dr. Eli Morgan. I've spent over 35 years helping older adults stay strong, steady, and sharp long after retirement. And today, I'm not giving you theory. I'm letting you step inside a real 94-year-old woman's life through her own words. The morning everything changed. I still remember the first line of her letter. It didn't start with hope, it started with fear. Dr. Morgan, I used to wake up every morning feeling like my body belonged to someone else. She wrote that at 93. Every step to the bathroom felt like crossing a shaky bridge. She had begun rearranging her furniture so she could hold on to something every few feet. She had stopped cooking on the stove because turning too fast made her dizzy. Her world had shrunk down to the 4 walls of her house. She didn't trust her legs anymore. She didn't trust her memory either. She confessed that mornings used to be the worst part of the day, her hands stiff, vision blurry, heart pounding from the effort of simply standing. Then came the part of the letter that made me sit very still. One morning, she said, she tried to bend to tie her slipper and felt a wave of vertigo sweep through her. For a second, she could not feel where her feet were. She clutched the counter and waited for the room to stop spinning, but the shaking in her hands wouldn't stop. Later that week, she missed an appointment because she'd walked out of her front door and forgotten why she'd left. When her neighbor called, she couldn't remember the neighbor's first name. Those small humiliations piled up faster than anyone expects. She wrote about the way fear changed the shape of daily life, cancelling lunches, skipping the small pleasures that used to matter, watching television for company because leaving the house felt risky. The truest line in her letter to me was this: I was not afraid of dying. I was afraid of no longer being myself. That sentence is what pushed her to act. Not a dramatic diagnosis in a clinic, not a single fall, but the quiet terror of waking and thinking, this cannot be all there is. So she sat down at her kitchen table and made a modest list. Things she could do in the first hour after waking. Things she could control even if her legs felt unsteady or her head felt foggy. She promised herself she would try them for 30 days. She mailed me that promise in the form of a letter, and it is the next lines of that letter, the tiny changes she made each morning, that explain how she slowly reclaimed the life she thought was gone. Habit number 1. The morning glass that woke up her body. The first habit she wrote about looked almost too simple to matter. She began keeping a tall glass of water on her nightstand. Not just plain water, warm water with a pinch of mineral salt and a few drops of lemon. Every morning, before her feet even touched the floor, she would drink the entire glass. She described that first week in almost poetic detail. The swelling in her ankles softened. The dizziness she felt after getting out of bed began to fade. Within 10 minutes, she no longer needed to sit at the kitchen table for 15 minutes just to wake up. Now here is what is happening beneath the surface, something most people over 60 don't realize. Overnight dehydration is one of the hidden drivers of morning fatigue, blood pressure, drops, brain fog, and muscle stiffness. As we age, our thirst signals become weaker, and we lose more fluid through breathing and the skin while sleeping. That single glass of water restores volume to your bloodstream, improves circulation to your brain, and helps your heart work less to maintain pressure. The pinch of salt. It's not for flavor, it supports fluid retention and stabilizes electrolytes, especially in older adults who experience mild orthostatic hypotension, that lightheaded feeling when you stand up. She said, "The first morning I did this, I felt a quiet click inside me, like a light switch being turned on. And here's the key. She didn't wait for a perfect moment to start. She didn't go buy a fancy bottle or follow a complicated plan. She simply filled a glass the night before and drank it the moment she opened her eyes. This wasn't about hydration alone. It was about reclaiming the first 5 minutes of her day, before stiffness, fatigue, or doubt could take hold. I often tell my patients, your body can start the engine on an empty tank. So tonight, put a glass of water next to your bed. Tomorrow morning, drink it before anything else. Don't overthink it. Don't aim for perfection. Just start with that one glass, like she did. Because sometimes strength begins not with a big leap, but with a single sip. Habit number 2. Let the sun reset your clock. The second habit in her letter was the one she nearly laughed at when she first heard it. I thought, how could stepping outside for 10 minutes possibly change anything, she wrote. But she did it anyway. Every morning after finishing her water, she opened the front door and walked outside, still in her robe, sometimes barefoot, sometimes wrapped in a shawl. She didn't exercise. She didn't check her phone. She simply stood there on her porch, letting the early light touch her face. I didn't expect it, she said, but within a week my mornings began to feel different, like my body finally knew what time it was again. Here is why this tiny ritual works. Early morning light is one of the most powerful signals your body can receive. It activates receptors in the back of your eyes that send a direct message to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your brain's master clock. That signal resets your circadian rhythm, boosts production of serotonin, and times the evening release of melatonin, the hormone that helps you sleep. This isn't new age fluff. It's solid biology backed by research from Harvard Medical School and National Institute on Aging. Morning light tells your body it's time to be awake, alert, and alive. And when your internal clock is in sync, everything works better. Blood pressure, mood, energy, even digestion. She began to notice it in small, quiet ways. Her sleep became deeper. She no longer woke up at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling. Her energy didn't collapse by noon. And most surprisingly to her, she started to feel more present, less foggy. There's another hidden detail most people miss. Indoor light isn't enough. Light streaming through windows is up to 50 times weaker than natural outdoor light, especially in the morning. That's why she made stepping outside non-negotiable, even on cloudy days, even when it was cold. She wrote, "The first few mornings felt silly, then it felt like breathing again." This simple practice also gave her something else, a moment of stillness. Instead of rushing straight into worry or chores, she claimed 10 minutes just for herself. She let the light do what no pill can, reset the rhythm of her body from the inside out. If you're starting out, you don't need to walk miles or chase the sunrise. Just open the door, step outside. 10 minutes, no sunglasses. Let your eyes, not your phone, receive the day first. Because the way you greet the morning determines how the day will treat you back. Habit number 3, the 4-minute mind tune-up. Halfway through her letter, her handwriting changed. The lines grew steadier, more confident. She wrote, "I was more afraid of losing my mind than my balance." For years, she had brushed off the little lapses, forgetting names, misplacing keys, walking into a room and wondering why she was there. But one afternoon, something different happened. She looked at her great-grandson during a family gathering, and for 5 full seconds, she couldn't recall his name. That moment, she said, felt like the floor giving way beneath me. This was the turning point that led to her third habit, one she still calls her 4-minute tune-up. Every morning, after her 10 minutes in the light, she sat at her kitchen table with a small notebook. She set a timer for 4 minutes and gave her brain a workout, not a crossword puzzle, not endless scrolling, but targeted stimulation that wakes up the neural circuits most affected by aging. Here's her exact sequence. Minute 1, mental math, not a calculator, just small arithmetic, adding, subtracting, challenging her working memory. Minute 2, word recall. She'd pick a category like flowers or cities and list as many as she could. Minute 3, visualization, closing her eyes and reconstructing yesterday's walk, step by step, in vivid detail. Minute 4, one simple question. What is the one thing I want to remember today? And she wrote it down. This wasn't busy work. It was deliberate activation of her prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, the parts of the brain tied to memory, focus, and executive function. Research from Mayo Clinic has shown that short daily bursts of targeted cognitive activity can help maintain, and in some cases even improve, mental sharpness in older adults. What matters is not how hard the exercise is, but how consistent it is. Within weeks, she noticed she was remembering conversations more clearly. She could recall names without hesitation. Her mind felt awake before breakfast, and maybe the most powerful part, she felt less scared. She wrote, "It wasn't about becoming a genius at 94. It was about proving to myself that my brain wasn't done yet. I've seen this countless times with patients. You can't stop time, but you can train your brain to keep showing up. So tomorrow morning, give your mind 4 minutes, just 4, before the world floods in. Start small, train daily, because memory isn't just something you lose, it's something you can fight for." Habit number 4, the 7-minute mobility ritual that saved her independence. In the next part of her letter, the tone shifted again. She didn't talk about science first. She talked about fear. She wrote, "The day I nearly fell in my own kitchen was the day I stopped pretending everything was fine. It happened just after lunch. She was rinsing a plate, turned a little too quickly, and her foot slid on a tiny puddle of water. She caught the counter just in time, no injury. But for the rest of that day, she kept replaying the image of her body falling sideways, hitting the floor. She wasn't wrong to be afraid. Falls are the leading cause of injury for people over 70. A single fracture can steal independence faster than almost any disease. And what most people don't realize is that the danger isn't just weak muscles. It is lost balance reflexes. She decided to reclaim them, and that is how her 7-minute mobility ritual was born, a simple sequence she performed every single morning after her brain tune-up. Not a workout, not a gym session, just movements designed to remind her body how to stay steady. Here's the exact flow she shared in her letter. Shoulder rolls plus deep breaths, 1 minute. Warming the upper body, opening the chest, waking the lungs. Seated marching, 2 minutes. Sitting tall, lifting one knee at a time, hands on the edge of the chair for support. Wall push-offs, 1 minute. Gentle resistance to wake up stabilizing muscles. Supported squats, 2 minutes. Holding onto a chair back, bending slowly, focusing on alignment and breath. Ankle circles, 1 minute. Finishing with slow, controlled movements to strengthen balance feedback loops. She didn't do it fast. She didn't care about burning calories. She just moved with intention. Within 3 weeks, something remarkable happened. She no longer needed to hold the hallway wall when walking to the bathroom. Her steps felt anchored. Her knees stopped shaking when she stood up from a chair. This isn't magic. It's the nervous system remembering its job. As we age, balance is one of the first abilities to decline, but also one of the most responsive to daily practice. Even small, consistent movement retrains proprioception, your body's built-in GPS for posture and stability. She wrote, 7 minutes a day gave me something no pill ever could, the confidence to walk without fear. And here's the deeper truth. Fear of falling doesn't just keep people indoors, it quietly erodes dignity. She refused to let that fear define her last years. I often remind my patients, strength isn't about how much weight you lift, it's about how safe you feel in your own body. So tomorrow morning, carve out 7 quiet minutes. You don't need equipment, fancy music, or a trainer. Just a chair, your breath, your body, and the belief that movement is medicine, no matter your age. Habit number 5, the protein breakfast that rebuilt her strength. The final habit she shared wasn't about exercise, gadgets, or supplements. It was about breakfast, something she'd overlooked for years. She wrote, "For half my life, my mornings began with sweet toast and weak tea. I thought that was normal for old age. Eat light, move little, fade slowly." But by the time she reached 90, that habit was working against her. Her energy crashed before noon. Her muscles felt weaker. Getting out of a chair became harder. She thought this was just aging. It wasn't. After talking with her doctor, She discovered something most people over 60 never hear about: anabolic resistance. The body airs reduced ability to build or maintain muscle, even when eating normally. By midlife, the signal that tells your body, use this protein to build strength, gets weaker. That's why so many older adults lose muscle even without losing weight. The solution isn't more food, it's better timed protein. So she made one small change. Every morning, within 30 minutes of her mobility routine, she gave her body a solid 25-30 grams of high-quality protein. For her, that meant 2 eggs, a scoop of Greek yogurt, and a sprinkle of chia seeds. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive. She described the first few weeks like watching her body wake up from the inside. Her midday fatigue began to disappear. Her steps grew lighter. She didn't wobble when getting out of her favorite armchair anymore. Science backs this up. Research from Tufts University has shown that protein intake in the morning has a greater impact on maintaining lean muscle mass in older adults than when the same amount is consumed at night. It works hand in hand with movement. After exercise or light activity, your muscles become more sensitive to amino acids, the building blocks of strength. She didn't count calories or track macros. She just made her first meal of the day the strongest one. She also cut down on sugary pastries and replaced them with something that fueled her, not drained her. She wrote, "I used to think strong people had more willpower. Now I know they just feed their bodies what they need to stay strong." This habit didn't just build her muscles, it built her confidence. I tell my patients this all the time. The first 30 minutes after waking is a golden window. Feed your body like you plan to live another 30 years. Tomorrow morning, when you reach for breakfast, ask yourself a simple question: is this fueling my strength or feeding my weakness? Recap: the 5 habits hidden in plain sight. As I finished reading her letter, I realized she hadn't discovered a miracle. She had simply built 5 quiet rituals that reconnected her body to its natural strength, without pills, without gyms, without waiting for motivation. Let's look at them again. The morning glass of water, to turn on circulation before fatigue takes hold. 10 minutes of light, to reset the internal clock that controls energy, mood, and sleep. A 4-minute brain tune-up, to remind the mind it's still sharp and alive. 7 minutes of movement, to retrain balance, strength, and confidence. A protein-powered breakfast, to rebuild muscle and keep the engine running. She started these habits at 89. At 94, she still lives alone, walking up the stairs, tending her garden, and cooking dinner for herself. These aren't complicated hacks. They're anchors, simple, repeatable actions that keep the body and mind aligned. And the truth is, anyone can start tomorrow morning. One sip, one step, one small win at a time. Your turn to take the first step. She ended her letter with a single sentence: "I didn't change my age, I changed my mornings. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 habits will you start with tomorrow morning? Will it be the glass of water waiting on your nightstand, or the 7 minutes that keep your legs strong? Tell me in the comments below. I read every single one. If you know someone your age who is quietly shrinking their world, like she once was, share this video with them. Sometimes hope doesn't come in a prescription. It comes in a morning routine. And if you want more science-backed strategies to stay strong, steady, and sharp, well into your 70s, 80s, and beyond, hit subscribe. Next week, I'll read you another letter. This time from a man who thought loneliness was inevitable, until one unexpected habit changed everything. The smallest things keep you alive. No matter your age, your strength isn't buried in the past. It is waiting quietly in your next morning. I'm Dr. Eli Morgan. Start small and let life meet you halfway.